Have you ever wondered why some seniors, despite their wisdom and life experience, unintentionally push people away without even realizing it? Could certain daily habits, harmless as they may seem, be quietly shaping how others see you, even changing the way they treat you? And what if you had the power to reverse this by making just a few simple changes, reclaiming not only your relationships, but also your dignity? As we age, it's natural to become set in our ways. Comfort becomes our compass, and routines begin to feel like second nature. But here's the hidden danger. Some of these habits, while familiar, may have slowly turned into blind spots, quietly altering how family, friends, and even strangers perceive us. It's rarely intentional, but the impact can be profound. In today's video, I'll walk you through 12 subtle yet powerful behaviors that might be affecting your relationships, your presence, and the respect you've spent a lifetime building. These aren't just criticisms. They're gentle reflections on actions that many seniors unknowingly adopt, often with unintended consequences. But here's the good news. Once you become aware of these habits, you can shift them. With small, intentional steps, you can strengthen your emotional bonds, rekindle your confidence, and carry yourself with a renewed sense of grace. Isn't that something we all want as we grow older? Before we begin, if you find this video helpful, please click the like button and consider subscribing. It helps us continue spreading wisdom on aging well. And if you feel like supporting this content, comment 1 below. If not, feel free to comment 0. Your feedback helps me improve every day. Now, let's begin with the first habit, neglecting personal hygiene. Taking care of your hygiene isn't just about cleanliness. It's one of the most powerful ways we silently communicate self-respect. Yet, as the years go by, it's often the first area to quietly slip. It usually doesn't happen all at once. Instead, it's in the small, gradual details that others begin to notice. Clothes worn too often without washing, hair that appears unkempt or greasy, fingernails that go unchecked, or a faint odor that lingers in close spaces. These may seem like minor lapses, but they carry a significant weight in how others perceive us. People may not say it out loud, but these signs can quietly create distance. And that's not what you deserve. Not after a life filled with lessons, love, and legacy. Hygiene isn't just about staying clean. It's a quiet yet powerful reflection of how we value ourselves and the world we live in. In our younger years, grooming often feels automatic. We brush our hair, press our clothes, and take pride in looking our best, often without thinking twice. But as the years pass, these routines can begin to slip. Not because we don't care, but because other things take priority. Maybe it's physical fatigue. Maybe it's the feeling of, why bother? Or perhaps it's a subtle shift in motivation, brought on by changes in lifestyle, energy, or emotional well-being. This change doesn't usually happen overnight. It sneaks in gradually, almost unnoticed by the person experiencing it. But to others, friends, family, neighbors, the shift is striking. They might notice your shirt hasn't changed in a few days, or that your hair looks a bit more disheveled. And though they may care deeply, they often won't say anything. Why is that? Because conversations about personal hygiene are delicate. No one wants to offend or embarrass someone they love. So instead, they adapt. They may sit a little farther away when they visit, keep conversations short, or hesitate before offering a hug. These subtle changes are not out of judgment. They're often subconscious responses to what your self-care may be signaling, perhaps a quiet giving up, or a sense that you've stopped showing up for yourself. But here's the deeper impact. Neglecting hygiene doesn't just alter how we appear. It changes how people feel around us. Clean clothes, neatly combed hair, and trimmed nails do more than make us look presentable. They send a powerful message. I'm still here. I care. I value myself, and I respect the people in my life. That message draws others in. It invites warmth, affection, and connection. On the other hand, when we stop showing that effort, people may instinctively pull back, not out of cruelty, but because they feel something's missing. That emotional connection becomes harder to maintain. The good news? Maintaining basic hygiene doesn't require perfection. It's not about being glamorous or flawless. A fresh shirt, a warm shower, a few minutes of grooming each day, these small gestures tell the world and yourself that you still matter. They are, in essence, a form of quiet self-respect, and that radiates far beyond appearance. It touches how others see you, how they treat you, and how you feel about yourself in return. Energy that people feel before a single word is spoken. By keeping up with basic hygiene, we not only show care for ourselves, we also create a welcoming presence that naturally invites affection, respect, and closeness from those around us. Now, let's talk about something just as impactful, though much less visible: speaking without a filter. As the years pass, something curious tends to happen. The mental checkpoint that once told us to pause and think before speaking begins to loosen. For many older adults, this shift feels like a well-earned privilege, a sort of verbal freedom that says, "I've lived long enough to speak my mind." And in some ways, that confidence can be refreshing. But here's the flip side. Without that filter, words can easily become sharper than intended. What feels like honesty from the speaker's point of view can land as harsh or even hurtful to others. Comments about someone's appearance, parenting, personal life, or lifestyle, when expressed bluntly, can catch people off guard, even when no harm was meant. Imagine saying something like, "You've really put on some weight," or, "Back in my day, kids weren't so soft." It might seem like a casual observation to you, but for the person hearing it, that simple statement can leave a lasting sting, especially if it comes unexpectedly or in a light, offhand tone. And here's the thing, most people won't confront you about it. They won't say, "That hurt my feelings." Instead, they'll quietly pull away. You might notice fewer phone calls, less time spent at family gatherings, a subtle withdrawal from deeper conversations. It's not that their love or respect for you has disappeared. It's that they're protecting themselves from emotional discomfort. But this doesn't mean you have to silence your opinions or walk on eggshells. It simply means speaking with intention. Before you say something, take a brief moment to consider. Is this helpful? Is it kind? Will it bring us closer or push us apart? The truth, when delivered with kindness, can build bridges instead of walls. A thoughtful question like, "How have things been going for you lately?" can invite the same conversation, but with care. It shows interest without sounding judgmental. The wisdom that comes with age is incredibly valuable, but its true power lies in how it's shared. When paired with empathy and emotional awareness, that wisdom becomes a force that uplifts and strengthens relationships, rather than creating distance. It's shared. When your words are wrapped in kindness, people don't just hear you, they feel understood. They lean in, eager to absorb the insight that only comes from a life well lived. But when those same words are wrapped in sarcasm, harshness, or blunt honesty, something shifts. Instead of connection, there's distance. Even if your heart means well, the delivery can turn others away. That's why the way we speak matters. Choosing words that heal instead of harm, encourage instead of shame, draws people closer. Your voice, shaped by decades of experience, has the power to uplift and guide. And when spoken with gentleness, it becomes a source of comfort, not discomfort. A light that others naturally gravitate toward. Now let's turn to another area of communication, one that doesn't require any words at all: the clothes we wear. Wearing clothing that no longer fits properly or reflects who you are today can quietly send signals you might not intend. Clothing, after all, is a form of self-expression. It tells the world how we feel about ourselves and how engaged we are with life right now. Many older adults find comfort in routine. They wear the same shirts, pants, or shoes they've worn for years, sometimes even decades. These items carry memories, yes, but they may no longer suit the shape, comfort, or message of who you are today. A pair of pants that's too snug at the waist, a shirt that hangs loose and faded, or shoes that are long past their prime. These may seem like minor details, but to others, they speak volumes. They may quietly say, "I've stopped noticing myself," or even more subtly, "I no longer care how I'm seen." Of course, that's rarely the truth, but the impression is real, and it can affect how people respond to us. Wearing clothing that fits well, is clean, and feels comfortable isn't about chasing trends or impressing anyone. It's about showing the world that you're present, that you still care, that you're still here, actively participating in life. And believe it or not, others pick up on that energy. They feel more at ease. They interact with you more openly. Because something as simple as a neat, well-fitting outfit tells them, "I respect myself, and I respect you too." It's not about impressing others. It's about honoring the person you are today. As we age, our bodies go through natural changes. Our weight shifts, posture evolves, and even the color and texture of our skin may transform. Clothing that once made us feel confident might not fit or flatter the way it used to. But when we choose clothes that fit comfortably and reflect our current selves, we send a powerful message to the world. I still care. I'm still here, engaged, and proud of who I am now. This quiet but confident signal doesn't go unnoticed. When people see an older adult dressed in clean, well-fitting, cared-for clothing, their response is almost instinctive. It's not about fashion. It's about dignity. What they truly admire isn't the outfit itself, but the self-respect, vitality, and grace it represents. On the other hand, when someone wears outdated, faded, or ill-fitting clothes, others may unconsciously draw conclusions. They may not say a word, but their behavior changes. Fewer compliments, less engagement, and a subtle cooling of interaction. These shifts can be deeply felt, even if never spoken aloud. Refreshing your wardrobe doesn't mean spending a fortune or chasing trends. It could be as simple as choosing a well-fitted shirt that complements your posture, replacing shoes that have seen better days, or opting for colors that brighten your skin tone. These small updates carry tremendous power, not because of the clothing itself, but because of what it reflects: awareness, presence, and self-respect. A neat pair of jeans, a crisp blouse, or a jacket that suits your frame can shift the energy of a room. When you feel comfortable and confident, others feel it too, and more importantly, they respond with the respect and attentiveness that you deserve. Now let's explore another habit, one that doesn't show in appearance, but in the rhythm of our conversations. Interrupting or dominating conversations is a behavior that, while often unintentional, can quietly push others away. As we grow older, the urge to share hard-won wisdom and experiences becomes stronger. And rightfully so. After all, we've weathered life's storms, made mistakes, gained insights, and found valuable truths. It's only natural to want to pass those lessons on. But sometimes, this eagerness to speak overshadows the space needed for others to be heard. A loved one might begin sharing a story or expressing a concern, and before they can finish, we jump in, adding advice, correcting a detail, or recounting a similar experience of our own. This doesn't happen out of selfishness. Most of the time, it comes from a place of wanting to connect, to help, or to show empathy. But if we're not careful, the result is that others feel unheard, or even dismissed. They may go quiet, not because they don't care, but because they no longer feel seen in the conversation. Feeling unheard or overlooked. And when people feel that way, they rarely address it openly. Instead, their withdrawal is subtle. You might notice fewer phone calls, shorter conversations, or less willingness to share meaningful thoughts. It's not because they don't care, it's because they feel there's no room for their voice. Younger family members, especially, often struggle with this. Out of respect, they may hesitate to interrupt or challenge what you say, but inside, they may feel overshadowed. They start to doubt whether their thoughts matter in the presence of someone they look up to. Over time, that dynamic can quietly chip away at your bond, leaving both sides feeling unsatisfied and disconnected. So how do we avoid this silent distance? It comes down to one powerful shift: listening more than we speak. It's not about silencing your stories or withholding your advice. Instead, it's about pausing, truly pausing, to let others finish their thoughts, to ask them how they feel, and to invite their perspectives. When you offer someone the space to speak freely, you give them something deeply meaningful, the sense that they matter. This is especially important with younger generations, who are often navigating a world very different from the one you grew up in. They're not just seeking answers. They're seeking connection, respect, and understanding. One of the most powerful gifts you can offer isn't a solution or a story, but your full attention. When you become someone who listens first and speaks with intention, your words carry greater weight. You become not just a respected elder, but a trusted confidant. The kind of person people turn to not because they have to, but because they want to. Now let's shift to another habit that may seem harmless on the surface, but can quietly create emotional distance. Complaining about kids these days. It often starts innocently enough. Maybe you notice a grandchild glued to their phone at dinner, or you hear about a young person choosing a career that doesn't seem practical. Perhaps someone in their 20s expresses views or values that feel foreign to you, and in response, a thought slips in. When I was their age, we appreciated face-to-face conversations. Or, back then, we worked hard without complaining. These reflections come from a place of lived experience, but when they become habitual comments, especially when voiced with frustration or sarcasm, they can feel dismissive to younger ears. What you see as observation, they may hear as criticism, or worse, rejection, connection, or quietly believe they just don't understand how the real world operates anymore. While these thoughts may start off as private reflections, they often find their way into everyday conversation, at the dinner table, during a casual chat over coffee, or even in passing remarks to strangers in line at the grocery store. Gradually, critiquing younger generations becomes more than an occasional comment. It turns into a habit, a lens through which many begin to view the world around them. What may not be immediately obvious is the ripple effect of these seemingly harmless remarks. Repeated criticism aimed at young people, even if spoken casually, sends a strong message. It may not be the message you intend, but it can be deeply felt by the ones hearing it. To your children, grandchildren, or younger co-workers, these comments don't just sound like harmless opinions. They can come across as a complete dismissal of their experiences, beliefs, and challenges. It tells them, whether consciously or not, that their worldview is invalid, that the present they live in isn't worth understanding, that you may be more anchored in the past than open to the reality they now face. And here's the truth. This generational tension is nothing new. Even Socrates, thousands of years ago, grumbled about the youth of his time, lamenting their lack of respect and discipline. But when generational critique becomes our default response, it doesn't make our wisdom shine brighter. It makes us sound disconnected, perhaps even resentful. To younger ears, especially those under 50, these comments can sting far more than we imagine. What they hear isn't just a harmless quip about kids these days. They hear rejection. They hear judgment of their values, of the way they parent, of the choices they make in a world vastly different from the one we once knew. And this has consequences. You may start to notice your grandchild shares fewer stories with you. A younger relative may begin to avoid deep conversations, choosing instead to keep things light and polite. They're not trying to be distant. They're protecting themselves from criticism that feels personal. Even those who love and respect you may start to hesitate, not out of disrespect, but out of a need for emotional safety. Grandchildren or younger friends may still show up, call on holidays, or drop by now and then, but something subtle begins to change. The emotional closeness you once shared may start to fade. You might still hear their voices, see their smiles, but underneath the surface, the warmth, the vulnerability, the openness you once enjoyed gives way to more reserved, surface-level interactions. It becomes more about duty than delight. The connection you crave begins to feel out of reach, like a familiar melody that's now being played just out of tune. But the solution isn't to pretend to love every new app, trend, or cultural change. You don't have to learn TikTok dances, agree with every shifting societal value, or suddenly start speaking in the slang of younger generations. That would feel unnatural and unnecessary. What truly matters is your posture of engagement. Instead of defaulting to judgment, try leaning into curiosity. Swap the phrase, "kids these days have it so easy," with a simple, sincere question. What's it like growing up surrounded by technology? Or, how are you handling today's job market? These kinds of questions don't just spark conversation. They open doors. They invite younger people to feel seen, respected, and safe sharing their truth with you. It tells them you're not standing on a pedestal shouting down, but standing beside them, ready to listen. Your greatest influence doesn't come from defending the past with volume. It comes from gracefully bridging the wisdom of yesterday with the realities of today. When young people feel respected, not judged, they naturally open up. They'll seek your insight not because they have to, but because they want to. You become more than a grandparent or elder. They begin to view you as a mentor, a steady presence, someone they admire and confide in. That's the kind of legacy that leaves a lasting imprint, one rooted in empathy, not authority, one shaped by listening before speaking. Now let's talk about another common but overlooked habit that can quietly push people away: ignoring modern etiquette. There's a silent rhythm to how we now navigate shared spaces, an unspoken code that many take for granted until it's broken. Imagine this. You're at a local cafe, chatting on your phone about a personal issue, but your voice carries through the room, interrupting others' conversations. Or you're in line at the grocery store, unintentionally standing too close to the person in front of you, unaware of their discomfort. Maybe you're at a clinic, watching a video on your tablet with the volume blaring, without headphones. These actions might seem small, even harmless. A few decades ago, they might not have raised an eyebrow. But today, in a world more attuned to boundaries and personal space, these moments land differently. They can come across as inconsiderate, even disruptive, not because you're doing anything wrong on purpose, but because expectations have changed. There was a time when speaking loudly in public, standing a little too close, or playing a video out loud in a waiting room might have gone unnoticed. Back then, personal space wasn't such a hot topic, and technology hadn't yet become a central part of our daily interactions. But society has shifted. With these changes come new unspoken expectations about how we behave in shared environments. What once passed as normal or harmless may now come across as inconsiderate, even disruptive. What's more, people rarely voice their discomfort directly. You probably won't hear someone say, "Could you lower your voice?" or "Please step back a little." Instead, you'll pick up on subtle cues, a sideways glance, a quiet sigh, someone slowly edging away or relocating altogether. These gentle reactions are how modern etiquette expresses itself, through small, silent corrections. And behind those actions is a message that's hard to ignore. Please be aware of how you're affecting those around you. In today's world, which is more connected and yet more boundary conscious than ever, these moments, though fleeting, carry real weight. Younger generations especially have been shaped by a culture that values sensitivity to others in shared spaces. So when they see someone violating those norms, they don't always interpret it as harmless or generational. They may see it as a sign of being out of touch, or worse, indifferent. That perception can slowly chip away at the respect you've earned over a lifetime, without you ever realizing it. But here's the encouraging part. Of all the habits we've talked about, this is one of the easiest to change. And the rewards? Instant. Just start by becoming more observant. Watch how others behave in public. Notice how they speak softly during phone calls, keep a respectful distance in lines, or automatically reach for earbuds when playing music or videos. These aren't just habits, they're signs of social awareness. They show that someone is still engaged, still paying attention, still invested in creating a comfortable environment for others. Modern etiquette isn't about being stiff or suppressing your personality. It's about signaling that you're present, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. It shows you're still connected to the world around you, and that you care enough to adapt. A simple shift, like lowering your voice, stepping back to give someone room, or wearing headphones in a public setting, sends a powerful message. I see you, I respect you, and I want to be thoughtful. That kind of presence leaves an impression far deeper than any conversation. It's not just about strangers in a coffee shop either. Your grandchildren notice when you move through a crowded space with care. Your neighbors appreciate the quiet courtesy in shared environments. Your community sees you not as someone left behind by change, but as someone who embraces it with grace. These small, almost invisible actions build a quiet kind of dignity, one that speaks louder than words. In a world that often feels rushed, distracted, or disconnected, your awareness becomes a rare and powerful trait. And in that awareness, you create a legacy of respect, adaptability, and timeless consideration. It's a scene many of us know too well. A group of older friends gathers, and within minutes, the conversation shifts to familiar territory. Aches, prescriptions, and appointments. Someone casually mentions their stiff knee, another updates the group on their latest blood pressure numbers, and before long, it becomes a lively exchange of doctor visits, surgeries, and scans. It may seem like harmless chatter, even comforting in its familiarity, a shared language of aging. For some, it can even feel like bonding through mutual understanding. But when conversations consistently revolve around medical complaints, they can subtly alter the tone of your relationships. What starts as connection can, over time, become draining, for both you and the people listening. The energy in the room begins to shift. Instead of sparking joy or laughter, the discussion may grow heavy, casting a quiet shadow over the interaction. Now, it's important to acknowledge that aging does come with its physical hurdles. There's no shame in that. Opening up about these struggles, especially with those who genuinely understand, can create deep empathy. But when every conversation becomes a detailed update on your latest hospital visit, or when symptoms become the center of your storytelling, it can wear down even the most caring listener. Younger family members, in particular, often don't know how to respond. They may feel helpless, unsure of what to say, or even guilty for not being able to fix what you're going through. Instead of leaning in, they may begin to gently step back, not because they don't love you, but because the emotional weight becomes difficult to carry. Over time, the relationship begins to feel less like a two-way street and more like a responsibility. And here's the unintended consequence. Those beautiful parts of who you are, the things that once brought color and light to your conversations, your humor, your stories, your questions about their lives, get buried under symptoms, scans, and diagnoses. The connection becomes practical rather than personal. It's no longer about sharing life but managing illness. But this doesn't mean you have to silence your struggles or pretend everything is fine. Far from it. The key is in striking a balance, choosing carefully when to open up and making sure your conversations still reflect the rich, vibrant person you are beyond the health updates. Think about the people you truly enjoy being around. Chances are, they don't ignore their challenges, but they also don't let those challenges take over every conversation. They may briefly mention a tough morning or an uncomfortable symptom, but then they shift, perhaps to a funny story, a hobby they're enjoying, or a thoughtful question about your world. You walk away feeling connected, not weighed down. you can do the same. By blending honesty with intention, your presence becomes not only real, but also uplifting. And that kind of connection? It's the kind that lasts, the kind people seek out not out of duty, but from genuine love. It's perfectly natural to talk about your health with those close to you. After all, your well-being matters. But here's the key. Let those health updates be just part of your story, not the whole conversation. Share how your knee's feeling, yes, but also talk about the new recipe you tested last night, or the cardinal that landed on your windowsill, or that childhood memory that popped into your head and made you chuckle. These seemingly small moments, full of color and life, remind everyone that you are still deeply engaged with the world around you. And just as importantly, ask others about their lives. What's bringing them joy lately? What challenges are they facing? These simple questions transform a conversation into something mutual, an exchange rather than a monologue. When you give space for others to open up, you're not just being polite, you're strengthening your relationships in subtle but lasting ways. Because your loved ones, they want to know you, not just your latest test results or treatment plans. They want to laugh with you, reminisce with you, learn from you. When you weave your health updates into a broader tapestry of life stories, you send a powerful message. I'm still here, still living fully. And in return, you invite others to do the same. That kind of mutual connection is the glue that holds relationships together. Now, let's talk about something a little more sensitive: being stubborn about outdated beliefs. As we grow older, the values and ideas that helped us build our lives become deeply ingrained. They've guided us through decades of decision-making, parenting, work, and challenges. These beliefs often feel like old friends, familiar, comforting, and reliable. But over time, if we're not careful, those once useful beliefs can harden into unyielding opinions. You might hear yourself saying, "That's just the way it is," or "People today are too soft," or even, "I don't need some new study to tell me the truth." These statements may come from a place of confidence, but to others, especially younger generations, they can sound like a refusal to grow. The world is changing fast. Technology, cultural expectations, mental health awareness, gender identity, and social roles are evolving in ways that can feel unfamiliar, even unsettling. But when we resist these changes outright, it doesn't come across as wisdom. It feels like withdrawal. And younger people, even those who care about you deeply, may stop bringing certain topics to the table. Not because they don't respect you, but because they fear you won't listen. They won't always challenge your views directly. Sometimes, out of politeness or discomfort, they'll just stop engaging. They may quietly think, "This isn't someone I can talk to about how I really feel." And just like that, connection fades. Whether it's a grandchild choosing an unconventional career path, a neighbor living in a way that seems unfamiliar, or a coworker advocating for new social values, these moments can either become bridges or barriers. When we meet these situations with judgment, sarcasm, or dismissal, we unknowingly shut down the opportunity for connection. And when that door quietly closes, both sides lose something meaningful. Remaining open doesn't mean you must abandon your lifelong values or pretend to agree with every new trend that surfaces. Rather, it's about showing a willingness to engage, to listen, to ask thoughtful questions, and to allow room for perspectives that may challenge your long-held assumptions without threatening your sense of self. Often, what appears to be stubbornness is actually rooted in something deeper, a fear of becoming irrelevant, of losing your voice in a world that's evolving at lightning speed. But the truth is, your relevance doesn't come from holding on tightly to the past. It comes from your ability to meet the present with curiosity and grace. What if, the next time you encountered a viewpoint you didn't understand, you simply said, "I haven't thought about it that way. Tell me more," or gently asked, "What does that mean to you?" These questions don't mean you have to agree. They mean you're willing to understand. And that effort alone creates a powerful moment of trust and respect. You might be surprised. Sometimes, their perspective will gently reshape your own in ways you never anticipated. Other times, you'll stand by your beliefs, but the respect you earn for being willing to listen will last far longer than the disagreement. The elders most admired in any generation aren't necessarily those who have all the answers. They are the ones who remain lifelong learners, who stay curious, who hold space for nuance, who show that wisdom doesn't come from being right, but from being open. That kind of humility draws people in. It's not just your stories of the past that make you memorable. It's your presence, your receptiveness, and your ability to stay connected to the world as it is now. That kind of mindset leaves behind more than words. It leaves behind a legacy of connection, one that continues long after individual beliefs fade from memory. The brisk, energetic stride of youth naturally gives way to a slower, more cautious pace as we grow older. We may feel less steady, pause more frequently to regain balance, or move deliberately to avoid a misstep. These physical changes are not flaws. They're simply part of the body's wise adaptation to time. But what often goes unnoticed is how these shifts in movement can subtly affect the way we interact with the world around us, especially in shared public spaces. Imagine a crowded grocery store aisle where someone, deeply focused on comparing nutrition labels, unknowingly parks their cart at an angle that blocks the flow of foot traffic. Or think of a busy sidewalk where a person suddenly stops mid-step, lost in a memory or deep in thought, leaving others to dodge or navigate around them. At an airport terminal, two friends might stroll side by side, slowly drifting into the path of oncoming travelers without realizing the ripple effect they're causing. None of these moments are intentional or malicious. Often, they're simply the result of being engrossed in the task at hand. Yet to others, especially in environments where space is tight or movement is constant, these small lapses in awareness can feel like obstacles. And over time, repeated disruptions, no matter how minor, can shift the way people respond to us. In places like shopping malls, train stations, places of worship, or even family events, a lack of spatial awareness can gradually shape impressions. Rarely will someone say anything aloud. Instead, they might offer a quick, polite smile or step quietly around us, suppressing frustration. But over time, these seemingly insignificant moments accumulate. Loved ones may start to see us as someone who's always in the way, even if they'd never admit it outright. They might subtly avoid walking beside us, hesitate to shop together, or quietly shift their path in a crowd. This isn't about resentment. It's about how repeated, avoidable inconveniences influence how others engage with us. Fortunately, the solution is simple yet powerful: cultivating spatial awareness. It's not about walking faster or changing how your body moves. It's about moving through the world with presence, attentiveness, and respect for the shared space around you. Being mindful of your environment, pausing to check if your cart is blocking a walkway, stepping aside when reading a label, or being aware of foot traffic in a hallway, demonstrates care not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Even a small adjustment like looking over your shoulder before stopping can make a significant difference. When you pause to check a price tag or take a moment to glance at your shopping list, simply stepping aside, just a little, can make a world of difference. In a busy aisle, moving to one side allows others to pass easily and keeps the flow of movement uninterrupted. If you're walking alongside a companion, staying aware of your space and maintaining a clear path for those behind or coming toward you shows that you're not only present, but also tuned into your surroundings. In crowded places like bustling airports, busy sidewalks, or lively community gatherings, these small adjustments don't go unnoticed. They may seem minor, but they send a powerful message that you're engaged, thoughtful, and respectful of everyone navigating the same space. It's a quiet yet profound form of social grace, one that demonstrates you're not withdrawn from the world, but still actively participating in its rhythm. Being mindful in shared environments isn't about perfection. It's about intention. It shows that even though age may have changed how quickly we move, it hasn't changed our awareness or our desire to coexist harmoniously with others. And that's something people appreciate deeply, even if they don't always say so. They remember the individual who moves with purpose and politeness, who doesn't create obstacles, but rather flows with the group. This kind of awareness subtly elevates how others perceive you. Instead of being seen as someone who slows things down, you're recognized as someone who moves with dignity, responsibility, and care. It's a gentle way to leave a positive impression, one that lingers long after the moment has passed. Now let's talk about another habit that can quietly push people away, making jokes that don't age well. Humor, when used with sensitivity and awareness, is one of life's great connectors. A good laugh can ease tension, lighten the mood, and bring people closer, especially across generations. It's one of the most powerful tools we have to stay joyful and relatable. But not every joke ages as gracefully as we do. Sometimes what used to get a room roaring with laughter a few decades ago might now raise eyebrows, or worse, offend. A sarcastic comment here, a playful jab about someone's habits there, or a joke based on outdated cultural or gender stereotypes might once have been brushed off with a chuckle and a quick, "Just kidding." Yet today, times have changed, and so have the boundaries of humor. To smooth things over, we often follow a joke with, "Just kidding," hoping it lands the way it used to. In the past, comments like these were usually received as playful, even endearing, a sign of camaraderie or light-hearted teasing. But today's cultural climate is different. The world has become more sensitive, more attuned to nuance, and far more mindful of the emotional impact words can carry. Younger generations, in particular, are raised with a strong awareness of inclusivity, diversity, and the importance of empathy. To them, a joke that seems harmless or funny to you may come across as tone-deaf, insensitive, or rooted in outdated assumptions. The disconnect is rarely loud or confrontational. You won't often hear someone correct you mid-conversation or say, "That wasn't appropriate." Instead, they may smile politely, quickly change the topic, or disengage from the conversation altogether. And over time, those small reactions add up. You might notice fewer laughs, fewer invitations to casual banter, or a general cooling in the warmth of your conversations, but not know exactly what caused the shift. The culprit isn't humor itself. Humor is still a wonderful tool. The issue lies in whether your humor resonates with today's values or feels like it's stuck in a time capsule. This doesn't mean you have to walk on eggshells or give up being funny, not at all. But it does call for a little more intentionality. Before sharing that joke or punchline, ask yourself, is this making people feel included or excluded? Is it lighthearted and clever, or could it come off as dismissive or outdated? These moments of self-check are small but powerful. The kind of humor that bridges generations is the kind that uplifts, that shines a gentle light on our shared experiences, and that comes with a touch of humility. Telling a funny story at your own expense, pointing out the absurdities of daily life, or laughing about things we all go through. That kind of humor never gets old. In fact, it draws people in. It shows you're approachable, human, and not afraid to laugh at yourself. Adapting your humor to today's cultural tone doesn't mean you're changing who you are. It means you're growing with the times, demonstrating that your wisdom includes emotional awareness and a willingness to evolve. And that's something people deeply respect. When you make others feel safe in your humor, never the butt of the joke, but always welcome to laugh with you, you build bridges that connect hearts, not just generations. A well-timed, thoughtful joke has the power to disarm, to uplift, and to bond. It shows you're not just from another era, you're still very much part of this one. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights helpful, please comment the number 4 below so I know you're still with me. Thank you for staying with me in this video. It truly means a lot. Now let's talk about something many won't admit out loud. Acting helpless when you're actually still capable. Aging naturally brings changes to both our physical strength and mental sharpness. Simple things like hauling in heavy groceries, navigating the latest technology, or adjusting to a busy day might feel more draining than they used to. That's normal, and asking for help when it's truly needed is not only wise but healthy. But there's a fine line between genuinely needing support and falling into a habit of defaulting to helplessness, even when we're still able. It's a quiet shift, but one that profoundly shapes how others interact with us. We may find ourselves saying things like, "Can you just do it for me?" Or, "I'll probably mess this up anyway," without even realizing it. In the beginning, these requests might seem harmless, practical even. After all, it's often faster to let someone else handle it, especially when they're willing. But when these moments become frequent, particularly in tasks we're still fully capable of doing, it changes the dynamic in our relationships. Family members or friends, while kind and well-meaning, may slowly begin to feel less like partners and more like caregivers. And even though they may never say it outright, that quiet sense of obligation can create emotional distance. They start anticipating the ask, rather than simply enjoying time together. That shift is subtle, but it matters. And often this behavior isn't about laziness. It's rooted in fear. The fear of messing up, of not being as competent as before, or of appearing vulnerable. So instead of trying and risking failure, we hand the task off. But each time we do that unnecessarily, we give away a little piece of our independence, our confidence, and our sense of agency. More importantly, what message are we sending to those around us? That we're done trying? That we've stopped believing in our own ability to grow or adapt? The good news is, we can reclaim that sense of capability, starting with the smallest of efforts. Whether it's figuring out a new remote, making a call on a smartphone, or baking something new from scratch, every attempt counts. And guess what? People notice. They admire the effort far more than the result. There's something deeply inspiring about seeing an older adult tackle something new, not perfectly, but courageously. And when we do need help, asking for it with clarity and sincerity shows strength, not weakness. It builds trust. It tells others we respect their time and energy, and that when we ask, it's because it matters. These small steps aren't just about getting things done. They're about reshaping how people see us and how we see ourselves. Every little victory, whether it's trying a new recipe, solving a problem on your own, or managing a daily routine, sends a quiet but powerful message. You are still a full, capable, and vital part of your world. The most inspiring elders aren't the ones who never need assistance. They're the ones who know when to accept help and when to stand tall and say, with gentle certainty, "I've got this." Wishing you good health, happiness, and peace. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Healthy Aging Blueprint.